Hello guys, it's been a while. Today we'll be going through new anime that talks about a group of people who start a series of assassination at the Grand Samurai clan, and together they aim to take revenge for all those who were once deceived. We see at first a group of 3 men who seem to be determined to do something dangerous. Suddenly they encounter a strange guy who slaughters them in a blink of an eye, leaving them no chance to fight. The next morning we see this person called Kurima Raizu sleeping under a bridge. Another man comes over and introduces himself as Yun, a leader of a group of all-purpose laborers. He reveals that there have been rumors about a samurai killer passing his days in their village, killing people and acting like he doesn't care. The locals have grown concerned about him. This is why they hired Yun to look into the matter, and the fact that Kurima is sleeping under a bridge instead of an inn makes him a suspect. Kurima reveals that he was ordered by a man called Matsumine to kill Hirata, one of the samurai clan's leader. Unfortunately, he had no grounds to reject the orders because according to Matsumine, Hirata was a traitor who posed a threat to the clan. After hearing this, Yun wonders why Kurima is hiding himself under a bridge while he could return home with his head held high after finishing his mission. Kurima suddenly reveals that Hirata was someone he knew and an important person in his life. Yun says it's okay to sacrifice the life of some people that we know for the sake of justice, making the other men feel good. Kurima decides to go back home after this, but on his way he encounters 3 men who came especially to take his life away. Not knowing what to do, while the guns are pointed at his head, he hears a voice instructing him to jump in the river if he doesn't want to die. He follows the instruction, and in the next days he opens his eyes in Yun's house with bandage around his wounds. It turns out that Hirata was the father of Kurima's fiancée, and he was tricked because the dead man was one of the most important men in the village. Hirata seemed to have been on the verge of having the evidence he needed to expose Matsumine crimes and illegal deals. In short, Kurima tries to make up a plan to take revenge. At night he gathers Yun and his friends Neo, Suj and Tippa in order to explain the plan they'll be following to kill Matsumine. At midnight, they sneak into their targeted man's house and manage killing the guards. Matsumine flees away through a secret passage, but outside he finds Kurima waiting for him and takes his life mercilessly. After this, the samurai rushes to see his broken fiancée to tell her that he took revenge from those who caused the death of her father, but it's too late. The girl is swimming in her blood after she stabbed her neck. The next day, Kurima recalls how Hirata and his daughter taught him how to fight. Now he feels the guilt after being the main reason behind their death. Meanwhile, Yun is awarding his group for the good job they did last night, and he informs them that he will do his best to join Kurima to the team. Neo and Suji refuse this, saying that he's not trustworthy, but Yun says it will be great joining such a good samurai to their team. It will help them to complete their future missions. Later we see Teppa, who turns out to be a doctor. As he's helping an old woman, she informs him after handing him a golden coin that she hates her husband named Inohashi because he deceived her. In the past, he tricked her and convinced her with his sweet words and handsome face to become his wife. At the same time, he's collateral. After marriage, he finds out he was in debt to his own employer, and the whole marriage was a scheme between him and his boss to steal her money. Slowly, they took everything her father gave to her. He treated her miserably that he didn't even let her be on her father's side when he died. The woman has only a few days to live, and Teppa understands the group has a new mission to take revenge from Inohashi and his boss. If the lady is going to hell, she must have some company. Yoon goes to meet Kurima and gives him his part from the last mission. Then he explains the nature of his work with the group, that if someone has a vendetta they need taken care of. They demonstrate this by leaving a bite marks on gold coin. Then they make it their business to take revenge in their stead. This is why they are called revengers. Yoon explains further that the nature of their work does not make what they do any better. At the end, it's still called murder. But despite that, there are evils in the world that need to be punished. Yun now asks Kurima to lend his sword to those in need of vengeance for money. The samurai hesitate to accept this, so Yun takes him for a walk and he makes him see all the women that have been betrayed by Inohashi and his boss and sold to prostitution. After seeing this, he realized that not all humans can take revenge themselves, so there must be someone to do it for them. Kurima pays visit to his fiancée's grave before accepting the offer to join the group. Later, we see Inohashi getting informed that he will be escorted out of the village for a while because they knew revengers are coming for him. Teppa sees them fleeing away on a boat, so he grabs his arrow and shoots them to buy some time. After Inohashi gets out of the river, Kurima tears him into parts. Meanwhile, Neo and Yun successfully took the other man's life for the sake of justice. The next day, we see Neo and the samurai hanging out together, discovering the town. Suddenly, the man notices an isolated place. The girl explains that it's the home to all the people too poor or with problem too big to live in the town, so they go discover it. As they are walking in the street, they notice people crowding around a man. Neo explains that the man is a shopkeeper and he did not pay the responsible off, so they made an example of him. Later, Tepa pays visit to Soji to inform him that Kurima will be living in his room from now on. Neo tells Yoon that the samurai was stone-faced the whole time during their work in the morning, so her leader asks her to be nice to him, and it's her job and Soji to teach him now to live a normal life after what he went through. After a while, Yoon goes to meet a police officer who gives him a golden coin to deal with a man called Sakata, who was once arrested for dealing opium. Later, Tepa and Neo goes to see how the situation is going and discover hundreds of sick people because of the men's illegal opium deals. The team gathers in Tepa's basement where they make a good plan to kill their new target. Later at night, they go for a mission. Neo informs Soji and Kurima about the presence of 5 guards whom they need to kill before reaching the target. These two goes first and kill the guards one by one, and this strengthens their bond. After finishing their first mission together, and since Soji and Kurima will be sharing the same room for a quite long time, Soji decides to teach the samurai how to earn some cash, because the money they get from their work as revenger is not enough, and they never can tell when the next beat in gold is going to show up. Later, we see Soji telling Yuan and Neo about his experience in finding a job for Kurima. He took him to Tepa's clinic and hired him as an assistant, but a samurai killer is not made to be a doctor's assistant. The whole thing ended up by people getting scared and running away. After this, Soji decides to ask him about how he used to earn money when he was just a samurai killer. The answer was depending on the day. Kurima used to practice with his sword, and then he offered the sword instruction at castle and manors, which means all he used to do in his day was swing in with his sword like it's the only thing he knows how to do. Soji suggests selling the special balls that Yuan is making, knowing that even people from the other side of the ocean have an eye for his stuff. Yuan is a very talented person, someone who chooses to do the revenge gig for an unknown reason, but obviously not for the pay. After a historical introduction, Soji thought he prepared the samurai guy to start selling balls. However, the plan didn't work, because the man was worried and not ready yet to face the world as a normal person. Later, Yuan gets to know that Sakata used to get the opium from the Englishman, and there was a middleman that in exchange for providing the opium, he gained influence by having Sakata undermine his more established business rivals, until he was in opposition to enter the den of avarice known as the Nagasaki Trade Union, and he's called Azumiya, a union that stands on corruption, and this middleman has a hard devote of both love and faith, which make it necessary for Yuan to eliminate him just like Sakata. Yuan goes back to his team and gathers them in Tepa's basement. He explains the new mission to them. After analyzing the situation, they get to know that the guy they are targeting disappeared after Sakata died. The only time anyone's seen him since he has been at his mistress' place. Tepa explains also that the mistress is involved in the opium dealing, so she has to pay the price for destroying people's lives for her own gain. Yuan reveals that he has made an arrangement with the owner of the art book store across the street to keep an eye on the mistress' place and wait for Azumiya to show himself. For this mission, they choose Kurima to stay in the bookstore to watch his neighbors. As he's watching the book and the people at the same time, the samurai discovers that he's good at drawing, so he starts making art. At night, he hears a noise at the mistress' place, and it turns out she asks for the target to come over. The samurai informs his friend to start the operation. Neo uses her kite to make a noise and forces the lady to open her window, allowing by this Tepa to shoot his huge arrow and kill the first target. The woman in fear starts running, asking for help, but she encounters Yuan, the one who knows about the illegal dealing she was making with the Englishman. So he gives her the kind of help she needs by making her follow her man to hell. Next day, the owner of the bookstore found Kurima's drawing and got impressed. He even offered to publish them, which means the samurai guy will be earning some extra cash soon. In the next episode, we'll discover together where this group of revengers is going with its murders and how bloody this anime is going to get. We have arrived to the end of this video.